Welcome to the newest episode of Beatin' and Bangin'. I'm your host, Kyle Dalton. Today's video is a recap of the weekend at Kansas, including media availabilities where multiple drivers disagreed with a large portion of the NASCAR fan base, an Xfinity Series race where Riley Herbst had to be calmed down by his team after threatening retaliation on Austin Hill, and the Cup Series first race in the round of 12 that saw Kyle Busch stumble at the end and Ross Chastain capitalize on that mistake to become a playoff spoiler and earn his first win of 2024. However, before we get to those stories, I want to first give a shout out to the makers of this cool digital display behind me. Some of you have actually commented about it in the comment section. It's called Glance LED. I really love mine because it offers you a lot of options, as you can see when I first set it up in my office/man cave to start the football season. It shows these really cool animated graphics when something happens in the game. I've since moved it into my studio because I want to display the NASCAR scoreboard and my YouTube channel stats. If you're interested in getting one for yourself, now is the time to do it because you can save 10% off. Click on the link in the description and have this great little display set up in your man cave or game room for the rest of the NASCAR and football seasons. Thanks again to Glance LED for partnering with us here at Beatin' and Bangin'. All right, now it's time to move on, but not to the weekend at Kansas just yet, but the reason for my lack of videos recently. I'm a believer in being transparent with you guys like I was last year with my mom in her final days. That was sharing the tough times. Now I want to share the fun times and explain the reason I didn't do any videos besides my Bristol recap last week. That's because my wife and I had the incredible opportunity to go to Cancun and hang out with Snoop Dogg. Yes, you heard that right. Thanks to Raising Cane's, the Chicken Fingers restaurant, we spent 4 days in Cancun where we enjoyed the sun, waves, iguanas, and incredible views. For those of you who don't know about Raising Cane's, sit tight. There's likely one coming to your area soon because the company is growing like crazy. For those of you who are familiar with it, you know how delicious their chicken fingers are. I'm sure you've also noticed how nice their employees are, equal to Chick-fil-A's my pleasure attitude. Well, there's a reason. It's the whole Cane's culture that starts at the top with the company's founder, Todd Graves. Graves was in Mexico with more than 3,000 of the company's leaders and significant others, where he spoke to them about the company's history, where they are, and where they're going. Then he invited his friend Snoop Dogg onto the stage for a fireside chat. They talked about a variety of topics, including working together on different projects and how they're both like-minded in giving back to the community. But undoubtedly my favorite moment from the conversation was this. Yeah, Todd gave Snoop the original nunchucks from Bruce Lee's Enter the Dragon movie. That was the start of a fun night that ended on the beach with fireworks, a drone show, and a concert by the legend. Here's a quick sample and an FYI, the man in the red shirt is Graves.
That's right. When the pigs in the crib, drop it like it's hot. Drop it like it's hot. Drop it like it's hot. When the pigs try to get at you, walk it like it's hot. Walk it like it's hot. Walk it like it's hot.
Clearly, the folks at Canes like to have fun. The next day, Olympic legend Katie Ledecky spoke to those in attendance, and afterward, there was a press conference where I asked Graves about working with Tony Breidinger and if there might be plans to work more with NASCAR in the future. Take a listen to his answer.
As it goes in the future, F1, that's a real expensive sponsorship because it's worldwide, right? And we don't have the worldwide dollars to do that right now, so we're just a part of that. But Daytona and races like that, that's some things we're going to get more involved with in the future.
That night was free, so my wife and I had a nice dinner, and then I caught the last half of the NASCAR Mexico Truck Series race. One thing that immediately stuck out to me was those walls. Painful. There were a couple of incidents with the walls involved, including this last lap contact, but nothing too serious. They also had a podium at the end, which I thought was interesting. And I can't talk about this trip without mentioning our final day and how Helene, which turned into a Category 1 hurricane over Cancun, made it quite chaotic trying to get home. We eventually did, and it was the conclusion of an amazing adventure thanks to Raising Cane's. Speaking of Helene, I also know that many of you are still suffering from the effects of the hurricane, so I wanted to let you know that you're in my thoughts and prayers. Hang in there, guys. All right, now it's time to get to some NASCAR news, but I encourage you to stick around because we're going to announce the winner of the Consult Vault contest at the end, and I'm also going to have another giveaway from my Cancun trip. Now, let's go to Saturday's media availabilities in Kansas, and unsurprisingly, a hot topic of conversation was the lengthy remarks of Kyle Larson this past week when in no uncertain terms he told fans on social media to zip their lips in complaining about the Bristol race. This weekend at Kansas, Larson doubled down on his comments.
No, I mean, to me it wasn't really a debate either. I think there's just, I think trying to give a perspective from the driver's point of view who's been around now for over 10 years and seen different packages and different, results on the racetrack. Not every race is going to be super exciting. So, I think that was more where I was coming from. It's just, stop being so negative.
But Larson wasn't alone. Hendrick Motorsports teammate Chase Elliott and rival Christopher Bell also didn't agree with the majority of the fans' assessment that it wasn't a good race at Bristol.
I thought it was fun, from my perspective, and it wasn't any different than the last however many Bristol races I've run, except for the spring. I mean, that was the one that was different. Outside of that, I thought it was just like the other events that we've had there the past 9 seasons for me.
I was laughing because literally from my seat in the race car, I felt like it was an amazing race. And I had no idea that everyone hated it until like a couple hours after that interview. But I go back to the start of stage 3. I literally watched guys run around there 3 wide. And I was mind blown whenever people said it was a terrible race because from my seat, I thought it was a great race.
I guess the drivers and fans will just have to agree to disagree. Since I didn't do any videos talking about this whole topic last week, I'm really curious to hear what you guys have to say about it in the comments. Moving on to the Xfinity Series race later in the day, and there was some drama wrapping up the second stage, when Austin Hill got into Riley Herbst and sent the Stewart-Haas racing car for a spin. Take a listen to the number 98 team radio after the incident.
They want us behind the 29 car.
Trying to go find the 21 car.
We don't need a penalty. We're still in the lead lap. We can get past the pit stop here and gain spots. We're starting stage 3.
Run him down by a straightaway. I don't touch him. I pass him cleanly. And what does he do? He wrecks me.
Yeah, he's a hack. We got to ignore it, all right? Shake it off, focus on us. We still got 110 laps to go.
Hill later admitted fault on his team radio, and the two met after the race for a conversation that ended with a fist bump. Moving on to Sunday, and before the Cup Series race, I thought there was an interesting comment, and it came from Kyle Petty about his prediction for the round of 12.
Chase Elliott. We've already lost 2 champions. This is the 3rd one. He's going home. He's the 3rd best Hendrick car. Send him out of here.
A few minutes later, when the green flag dropped, Petty's prediction on Elliott almost started to take shape on that first lap, when the HMS driver, who started in the back of the field due to an engine change, narrowly escaped a crash that involved 4 other cars, including Jimmy Johnson and Josh Berry. Berry's crew chief Rodney Childers and the team were incensed that NASCAR officials insisted that the number 4 car was done and would not be taken to pit road despite its only issue being 4 flat tires. I've seen a lot of things over my 25 years in the Cup Series, but that's the most screwed up thing I've ever seen or been involved with, Childers posted on X. All we needed was tires with air in them, and how many times have we drugged cars to the pit stalls to put tires on them? Why today? It was deja vu of Ryan Blaney at Watkins Glen a few weeks ago, although in his case, the steering column was broken. The following week, Blaney acknowledged that NASCAR got it right in its call. In this case, I don't think you'll hear Childers or Barry saying any positive things about the situation. Just 18 laps later in that first stage, and our first playoff driver of the day was involved in an incident when Kyle Larson had a right rear tire go down. Here's the radio communication with crew chief Cliff Daniels.
It appears as though we ran over debris on the right rear. Looks like there's a hole in the right rear tire is what I see. The debris that caused the flat, because some of your diffuser has a missing section. If anything, you could be a little looser here. I do think the tire was going down over that run. Looking at your steering and throttle, I could tell the car was loose. I do think it was a slow leak on the tire. So take it for what it is right now. We'll just keep marching our way forward, and we'll do the best we can to keep working on it.
Halfway through that first stage, the other Kyle, Busch, who had qualified third, had dropped back to 18th and let his team know he wasn't happy with his car.
I am wrecking loose. Fucking wrecking. Copy, wrecking loose.
With 23 laps to go in that first stage, it was a sight to see Kyle Larson going down a lap. Amazing to see considering how dominant he was just a week earlier. Christopher Bell, who had been dominant early, got loose with 8 laps to go, hit the wall, and steadily dropped back. William Byron capitalized and won the stage. He was followed by Joey Logano, Ryan Blaney, Denny Hamlin, and Bell. In that second stage, the old saying, cautions breed cautions, couldn't have been more true. We had 4 of them. For Denny Hamlin, after already enduring 1 slow stop by his team, the number 11 driver was in no mood for a loose wheel after one of the team's stops, but that's exactly what he got. As you might expect, he wasn't happy about it.
All right. I'm getting concerned, so if you feel something, you got to bring it. It's going to be 18 to go when you get it. You have any? I'm getting doubt down here, so if you have doubt, you got to bring it. Fuck! Coming!
With so many cautions, teams chose differing pit strategies, some pitting before the stage end and some staying out to get points. Alex Bowman won the second stage and was followed by Gibbs, Blaney, Byron, and Brad Keselowski. Early in that final stage, I couldn't help but think we were looking at the future of the sport with a pair of 21-year-olds out front and leading the race. Interestingly, during that final stage, Blaney also fell victim to a questionable loose wheel by his number 12 pit crew and had to make an unexpected pit stop. But the top story in that last stage was undoubtedly the brewing battle between Ross Chastain and Kyle Busch. When the number 8 finally made his move and surged out past the number 1 with 63 laps remaining, Rowdy Nation started to sense the first race in the round of 12 playoffs just might be the one where its driver would get over the hump of his second place results recently, and more importantly, extend his record streak to winning at least 1 race a year to 20 consecutive seasons. All that could possibly stop him from making a trip to victory lane was a caution, and it did. However, no one in the grandstands or those watching on TV could have imagined that it would be Busch himself to bring out that yellow, but that's exactly what happened. Leading the race with 32 laps to go, the RCR car got loose trying to squeeze by on the outside of a lapped Chase Briscoe and went for a spin.
Hang on, 2 back, 1 outside. Unfucking believable. Crack the brake. All right, let off here, let it roll. Caution is out. What you need there, you're going to have about the same length run as how we just ended right here. Doesn't matter when you're in dirty air.
After another yellow, the 10th on the day, the race restarted with 20 laps to go and Ross Chastain took the lead and held on for the win, his first of 2024. He was followed by Byron, Truex Jr., Blaney, and Gibbs. Moments after the race, Kyle Busch was interviewed and asked about the emotion of that moment when he went for a spin and saw his chances at victory slip away.
Just nothing. I mean, I'm numb. I don't know what to do.
Really painful to hear. Busch sound so defeated. I thought it was also interesting to hear Chastain's perspective, but he didn't on what happened with Busch.
Well, to get there was race with the 8 really hard. I guess keep close enough to him, even though I thought he had the upper hand, for him to wreck kind of unforced. He was trying to get to the right rear of the 14 through 1 and 2, and yeah, when he wrecked, I couldn't believe it. It's incredible. Our cars were so evenly matched. Whoever had the clean air, we both plugged the fence and gave each other the lead, and I gave it back to him after he gave it to me.
I think it's safe to say, as much as fans were not happy last week after Bristol, Kansas did not disappoint. It wasn't the history-making finish from the spring, but there was plenty of action from the start of the race up until the very end. Playoff drivers had to deal with a lot of adversity, some of it self-inflicted. Overall, it was an enjoyable race and a good start to the round of 12. All right, guys, that's a wrap on today's episode. I want to get your thoughts about all of it. As I mentioned in the video, since I didn't address Kyle Larson's remarks after Bristol, I want to get your thoughts on his opinion as well as the comments of Chase Elliott and Christopher Bell. Do you agree or disagree with them? Moving on to the race, what was your big takeaway? The playoff drivers stumbling? Kyle Busch in his late self-inflicted spin ending his chance at victory? Or Ross Chastain playing the role of spoiler? Let me know what you think about it in the comments section. As I also brought up earlier, we're going to announce the winner of the console vault, and I'm going to give away a prize for my Cancun trip. The first thing is announcing the winner of the console vault, and it is at Mountain Mama 1692. Mountain Mama, please respond to this video and we'll get you your prize. And finally, I want to give away this hat that I bought on my trip to Cancun. All you have to do to enter is type Cancun in your comment, just Cancun. I'll announce the winner in next week's recap video. Thanks again to Glance LED for their great product. And remember, if you want to get your hands on one of these cool little units to display in your man cave or game room, and you want to save some money in the process, click on the link in the description. Thanks again for checking out the latest video and supporting the channel. I really do appreciate it and hope you have a great rest of your day.